So something crazy happened today. We actually got confirmation and a release window to the next Dead Rising remake. Now, what's interesting about this is that it was actually marketed as Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, but there's a lot of signs in today's video that points towards this being a remake. So first things first, a lot of fans actually noticed and commented in the comment section of this trailer, they noticed that Frank West's voice was different from the original.
Frank West.
Remember that name, because the whole world's gonna know it in 3 days.
Woo-hoo!
Frank West. Remember that name, because the whole world's gonna know it in 3 days.
So that's actually one of the first signs that this might be a remake. Mostly due to the fact that, most remakes, they hire new actors, they kind of, do their own thing. Now, the weird thing that I'll say right from the get-go is that usually when it comes to Capcom's remakes, right, like especially with Resident Evil, that's what basically kicked this whole thing off, especially with Resident Evil 2, Capcom has specifically stated that it's always been a reimagining. So if anything, it kind of begs the question, why did Capcom specifically use terminology like Deluxe Remaster? Is this because Capcom is actually going to be really faithful to the original game? They're not doing kind of like a reimagining of what Resident Evil has been with Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4. Is that the reason? Because the one thing that I find very strange about all this is why say Deluxe Remaster if the game looks like it's been made from the ground up? It looks like they're getting new actors for the thing, which again is good news. I mean, technically you could make a counter argument to that, especially with, the recent announcement of Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater. They're basically reusing the same voice lines that they shot back in the day, and they're just basically giving it, a new coat of paint. Everything else is a remake, but the voices are still the same. And obviously, since that's definitely not the case, it does lean more towards a remake. But as mentioned, I think the whole reason Capcom might be calling it a deluxe remaster is just because they're going to be keeping it faithful. It does look like the game is using a new engine. It looks like it's completely new. I don't know. That's my kind of, I mean, the game is super old, right? I mean, and it wouldn't make a lot of sense for Capcom to do another remaster, technically, right? Like an HD remaster, since even in the trailer, they do state that, that's what happened. They did that in 2016. So as mentioned, guys, this seems like it's more on the line of a remake that's very faithful to the actual original, kind of like, I guess, Dead Space. Now, another thing that I also noticed with this trailer that kind of blew my mind was that this is actually going to be releasing this year, which is crazy. Like today has been crazy news. Like we got the GOG Resident Evil Classic Edition or Classic Collection announcement, and then Capcom Europe kind of just shadow drops a Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster trailer. Like, what is going on? Honestly, this is fantastic news. And the other thing that I should also mention regarding all of this news with the remaster is that companies tend to do this. I don't know, I've seen it become a trend, is that they usually remaster the game so that then if it sells well, then they'll do that for the rest of the games, right? Like, for example, if Dead Rising does super well in the market, everybody buys it, it kind of gives an incentive for Capcom to be like, okay, it seems a lot of Capcom fans want Dead Rising, so we should bring that series back. Since, I should mention, if you guys didn't know, after the release of Dead Rising 4, the whole studio in Vancouver, Blue Castle, I believe is their names, it actually got shut down by Capcom because it didn't sell well. The game basically flopped. So it kind of begs another question too. Are the original people that worked on the original Dead Rising also going to have a hand in this remaster or / remake, or I should call a remake, since that seems to be more in line with what's happening here? I don't know. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I don't know if they're going to get, the OG guys. That might not be the case. And it's also interesting that Capcom Europe was the one that released this. Was Capcom Europe the ones that were basically spearheading this project? It just begs a lot of questions. But going back to what I was saying, that does seem to be a common trend nowadays, especially with game companies, where they kind of release a remake or a remaster kind of to test the waters with the community, with the gaming community, and see if they should actually continue with that franchise. Not to mention, Capcom recently had a Capcom polls. They had 2 Capcom polls, and a lot of people, Dead Rising was one of them. So not only is this fantastic news for Dead Rising, and as soon as this game comes out, you should definitely support it, but this is also incredible news for other Capcom games, right? I mean, obviously, as I've stated in my other videos covering the Capcom polls, if Capcom is doing a bunch of polls and, kind of getting a census of what people want with their games, this could mean we could get a Dino Crisis remake. We could get, like there's so many other games. A lot of people were asking for Devil May Cry. They were asking for Mega Man. They were asking, Mega Man Legends. And there's so many, Onimusha. Like there's so many games that Capcom is kind of sleeping on. And so this kind of came out of like left field. Like honestly, I don't think anybody was expecting this. And as of speaking right now, the video has like 30,000 views. Like it's not like common knowledge at the moment in time. But, you guys can probably hear it in my voice. I'm super hyped for this. This is great news. So if I haven't made it clear, once this remaster releases, if it's amazing, make sure to support it. Make sure to buy it, guys. I'm definitely going to get in early access to this because if you guys don't know, I am an official Capcom creator. So we do get early access to this. And dude, I'm like so hyped. I'm going to be there day one for this. So yeah, I'm super excited. But like I said, definitely do that. Definitely buy this thing, support it so that Capcom basically realizes, if we bring back older game titles that people want, then this is easy money for us, right? We want Capcom to do this. Because like I said, there's so many Dino Crisis fans, including myself, that are just waiting for a Dino Crisis remake. And the other exciting thing that I should also mention with all of this is that if Dead Rising remake or deluxe remaster turns out to be amazing and everybody buys it, like what if we get like that Dead Rising game that was actually canceled, like the Day of the Dead, where you guys get to play as Chuck and you go to Mexico? That Capcom was actively working on a Dead Rising game back in, I think 2018 is when it got leaked, and the whole thing got shut down. Like it was very sad. It looked like a really cool game. You were going to be playing as the same protagonist as Dead Rising 2. Like what if we got that secret thing? What if we get a new Dead Rising? What if Dead Rising 4 gets like completely remade? Since a lot of people didn't like it, it brings up a bunch of opportunity. And honestly, I would love a Dead Rising 2 remake. And speaking of Dead Rising, make sure to click this video if you guys want to see my challenge run that I recently did with Virus the Virus, where we did every time you lose a survivor, you lose an item. So make sure to click that video. It was a great challenge run. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching.